What's up, boys? It's Feeds back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Foley. It's a little behind everyone else's and a little a little late from the event. I've been taking some time off to figure out who I wanted to do next and what type of videos I was looking at potentially doing, and looking at some ways to edit to make it a little bit better for you. So Foley is by far one of my most favorite legendaries that I've gotten, mainly because it didn't cost anything, and all we had to do was the event. So obviously it caused some controversy with the fusion event. You had to spend quite a bit of time and energy and gems into farming him, but overall it was definitely worth it. It was exhausting to say the least. So we'll jump right into it. We'll talk about his abilities first. His A1, his attacks, where attacks one enemy 4 times, has a 20% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff. And then, of course, when you have it fully leveled up, it's 25% chance to place that debuff. This is really good for a lot of reasons. More than anything is because Giant Slayer is an awesome talent to have, mastery to have, that synergizes well with this character. Obviously, 4 hits, 4 opportunities for Giant Slayer. Proc rate on Giant Slayer is 30%, so you'll at least proc it once. And, of course, if you run a counterattack team, in one turn, effectively, you'll hit 8 times with Foley, which means you have relatively high % chance of getting your Giant Slayer and your decreased defense buff on there, which makes him really good for a lot of different areas. His A2, Bio Disruptor, attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 35% chance of placing a Leech debuff for 2 turns. Leech right now isn't really that good. Hopefully they'll buff it soon and make it a lot better than what it is, but currently it's not a super strong buff, but it is good for attacking in areas where you have multiple mobs, or if you want to try your hand at attacking one mob single-handedly, it works pretty well. Sealed Fate, this has actually got a really cool animation, but attacks all enemies, and enemies under 2 or more debuffs that are killed by this attack cannot be revived. This is great for areas like Ice Golem. It's great for Arena. Makes them very capable in a lot of different areas. And then, of course, his Living Armor heals the champion by 20% of their max HP and boosts the turn meter by 50% whenever an enemy places a stun, freeze, sleep, or provoke on this champion. Immediately removes all stun, freeze, sleep, and provoke debuffs on this champion. This is good for Arena against Shinny Maris. This is good in Arena against Prince Nymars. This is good in Clan Boss against Clan Boss, especially if you're the targeted affinity. And overall, this is just really strong because it allows him to have a lot of functionality. And you can have it happen every 3 turns once you have it fully leveled up, which makes it really, really good in a lot of regards to that stuff. So overall, his toolkit's really good. The only drawback is that it takes a lot of skill books to get him leveled up. So 2, 3, that's 5, and then 5 right there, that's 10, and then 14. So 14 skill books get him fully leveled up. So it's a little expensive as far as what you're looking at. His masteries are pretty straightforward for the most part. You go with the attack. I ended up going with shield and, of course, crit damage. Life steal, so on and so forth. Giant Slayer. And then, of course, the important one I want you to know is that Sniper is going to be the final ability we fill in with. Increases the chances of placing any debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. This is relatively important because that gives you a 30% chance of placing your decreased armor or decreased defense debuff instead of a 25% chance. Which puts it right in par with your Giant Slayer proc that has 30% chance. So the better that you can get with it, the closer you can get to making it proc more often. So as far as his skill set or his artifact set, there's a couple different ways you can gear him up. I've tried a couple of them. I've been happy with most of the builds I've done. This is the one that I've been currently using. So it's not limited to just this build. This particular build, though, I enjoy because what it allows me to do in instances when I fight against clan bosses, in instances where I fight in arena, in instances where I really fight anything, it gives me a ton of ignore defense. So I get my crit damage, my ignore 5% of the enemy defense, and then, of course, the crit rate. The divine part isn't necessary. It just gives you a shield out of pocket if you're not running with like a shielding team. But the crit and crit rate are important, or the crit damage and the crit rate are important because it allows me to get to 100% without really having to try too hard. And then, of course, I've got a ton of crit damage that goes into it. So what this means is that when I hit clan boss, I'm hitting him every time for anywhere from 40, 50k easy. What this also means too, that's not including my Giant Slayer procs. So if my Giant Slayer procs, I'm hitting for 100, at a minimum of 100,000 damage each turn. Now if the proc's more than once, then you're talking 150,000 damage roughly that I can do to him. And if you got super lucky, 250,000 damage each turn if you got 4 Giant Slayer procs on the hits, which isn't very likely, but if you got the good RNG, you'd be hitting for 1,000,000 every 4 turns, basically, which would be pretty nutty. So that's not accounting for counterattack too. So if you had counterattack, you're talking about 2,000,000 every couple turns that comes with it. So the important thing to note is that you have a decent amount of HP. Obviously, it's not super high. My attack power is relatively high for the most part, almost 3,500. And then, of course, you still get a decent amount of defense to it. Now, I was able to build up a lot of resistance on this guy, which I feel is significantly important. Because even if you get A4 ability that protects you from some stuff, things like poisons and other disabilities that come up that'll fall into that category, you always want to have available and have the ability to resist you. And then, of course, accuracy is important. His accuracy is kind of low. It's just because I've had a hard time finding gear that's been able to have accuracy plus all the other stats I need to it. And as you can see, I still have some low-level trinkets and necklaces and banners and whatnot. Obviously, as I get better ones, I'll replace them when it comes to it. Overall, Foley's skill set's really good. I haven't had a lot of complaints to him. I'll just show you on one of my test teams right now what he does as far as damage does on Arena, and give you kind of an idea. So we're gonna replace our Beto. Yeah, we'll replace our Beto for this. I've been trying different teams without using certain heroes to make them a little bit harder for defense. In this case, I'm getting rid of my AoE healers and my AoE cleansers, so it's not a very good build. But this just gives you an idea. So we get to attack first, which is good because they have the shield buff. The important thing to remember too is that you always want to run with a counter, like a support that can give you counterattack to Foley, because it only doubles his power output at that point. So as you can see, we have the option, we're going to attack all enemies. We don't really want to attack anyone that's got that just yet. Or do we? I mean, we can. It's a 5-turn cooldown. So what we'll do is we'll do it once because we'll refresh it with Kaimar, just to break through the shields. So as you can see, does a decent amount of chunk plus the Giant Slayer on there. So even if there's like 3k hits each, you're talking 12k each time plus Giant Slayer procs. So we did a decent amount of damage to her right off the bat. That comes to it. Here comes all the buffs. So we just dispel with this, and so good old Dark Aethel there. So so that was 4,000 hits, so 16,000 damage plus the Giant Slayer proc. So it's a good way to like really butcher people down, especially with the ignore defense. And more than anything else, it puts you in a really good spot overall. Obviously, this team wasn't very optimal in like taking out Foley. So here, we'll just show you this, his A2. These are weak affinities. So the leech buff's on. I don't really care for the leech buff per se. Like I said, I don't think it does a ton. It does a ton of healing or enough healing to really be significant. But this allows us to go back into the rotation again. So as you can see, getting the chance to retaliate with auto attack. So ignoring the defense plus the procs at the end, even if it's not a significant amount, you're talking almost 20,000 damage each time he attacks. And that was against a weak or against the wrong affinity too. So there's a lot of high output, a lot of functionality that comes with it. Foley, I think, is a pretty significant hero overall. You can gear him with speed as well, and make him very viable. The one thing to remember that Foley is always going to be reliant on a support. He's always going to need some type of support available that comes to it. That could be anything from a martyr to a Valkyrie. You can run with a Sandra. Ultimately, the one champion that I would probably say more than anything else is the end all be all would be to run with Arbiter. Of course, if you can get Arbiter through the quest, do that. I'm about to have mine. The reason why she's so good though is because when you run her with a team that can put some block damage on, her ability to revive happens so often that it allows you to basically revive Foley and Clan Boss, and you can take his damage up from anywhere from 5 million to 10 to 15 million, depending upon how tanky your team is and how quickly they survive when it comes to that stuff. So that'll be it for today, guys. There'll be a couple more videos coming out pretty soon. I have delayed a little bit in content, just a little bit because I wanted to try some different things out and see some different stuff. And of course, Plarium has been putting out a lot of content lately, so I wanted to make sure that we addressed all that stuff kind of in the right manner. So that'll be it, guys. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit the like button below. If you liked enough to follow, hit the subscribe button up top. And if not, just keep summoning, brothers and sisters.
Run! It's gonna be a left click. It's gonna be a left click.